YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today, guys, we are gonna talk about DRACOTAIL before it hits in Master Duel by tomorrow, I think. So this deck revolves around fusion summoning, and if you try to use them for synchro summoning, I think it would be quite different, or even for exi summoning, because their levels quite differ from the other main deck monsters. So from ranging from 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, or 8. So you can't actually like play this off quite well with exis or synchro summoning. Plus, there are two cards here that actually lock you into fusion summoning only. So it is going to be the strength of the deck, and I think that's the best way to go with this deck as well. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the card by card. And then next up, we're going to talk about the variants, or the tech cards first and then the variants. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the combos. So first, we have the pan here. The DRACOTAIL monsters have their archetype effects that once they are used for a fusion material, they can access one spell or trap or DRACOTAIL spell or trap from their deck and set it on the field. The DRACOTAIL dragon monsters, which is this one and a copy of Urgula, can actually pop spell or traps after they are sent to the graveyard for a fusion material. So Urgula pops one spell and trap, and then Pan destroys one monster on the field. If a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, spell summon one non-fusion DRACOTAIL monster from your graveyard. So with regards to Urgula, a level 6 monster, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one spellcaster DRACOTAIL monster in your graveyard, place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. Next up, we have the Phimina. So during the main phase, quick effect, you can discard this card, fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from the field and hand. And secondary effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material, you can set one DRACOTAIL spell or trap. DRACOTAIL Lucius, the only level 4 in the deck or in the archetype. If this card is normal or spell summon, you can add one DRACOTAIL monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a material, you can set one DRACOTAIL spell or trap. With regards to DRACOTAIL Mululu, it's similar to the Cartesia for the Brandeds. So during the main phase, you can fusion summon one DRACOTAIL fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from hand or field. Also, it locks you into fusion summon only. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a material, you can set one DRACOTAIL spell or trap, then negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls. Then we have DRACOTAIL Frixel. So if this card is normal or spell summon, you can target one DRACOTAIL monster in your graveyard, special summon it, then return one monster you control to the hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion summon, you can set one spell or trap. So that is basically all the monsters that we have here. So with regards to the spell and traps, first of all, we have Keto DRACOTAIL. So it adds one DRACOTAIL monster from your deck to your hand, and if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using monsters from hand or field. But the best one is Rahu DRACOTAIL. Fusion summon one DRACOTAIL monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, deck, or field. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot spell summon from the extra deck except fusion monsters. This is basically branded fusion for DRACOTAIL monsters. So we have DRACOTAIL Horn. Target one attack fusion monster on the field, return it to the hand or extra deck, then you can place one DRACOTAIL card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck and draw one card. Then DRACOTAIL Flame, target one face-up spell on the field, negate the effect, then you can place one DRACOTAIL card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, then draw one card. And then lastly, we have the DRACOTAIL Sting. Target one monster and or one spell or trap card in your opponent's graveyard, banish them. Then you can place one DRACOTAIL card from your graveyard or banishment on the bottom of the deck, draw one card. Now with regards to the extra deck, these are the monsters. So first and foremost, we have DRACOTAIL Arthalion. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target one monster on the field and or in the graveyard up to the number of monsters used as its material from the hand, return them to the hand. If two or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, you can spell summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Then we have DRACOTAIL Gulamel. When you activate a DRACOTAIL card or effect, you can target one card on the field to destroy it, and if two or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time while this card is in the graveyard, you can spell summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. And then lastly, we have DRACOTAIL Shaurus. You can target two DRACOTAIL cards in your graveyard and one face-up card on the field with the same type as one of them. Shuffle all three into the deck. With regards to the number of copies, we'll talk about it. If you're running pure with this, I think running 2 copies of Pan is the best way to go. Second of all, Urgula, really good card as well. I do prefer just running 2 copies of this, but some variants run with 3 copies. Then we have Phimina and Lucius, always on 3 copies, whether you're running pure or with another variant. Then we have Mululu. If you're running with branded, 3 copies is the best way to go. But if you're running this on a pure version, just go with 2 copies. And then lastly, with a copy of Frixel. Now this card really works so well with branded because this is the only light monster that you can have for the archetype, and for the good reason. We don't have any other like light or dark DRACOTAIL monsters. So Frixel is another good card as a 1-of for a branded deck. If you're running this on a pure version, I do think, you can run this on a 1 copy though. For the spells, Keto is on 3, Raho is on 3, the Horn is on 1, Flame is on 1, and the Sting is 0 to 1. So it depends on the variant. Sting usually is not really included in most of the builds, but the Horn and the copy of Flame is always on 1 copy. Artelion, if you're running pure, 3 copies, definitely a really good card effect and really good card. For another variant, I do think running 2 copies is the best way to go. For the copy of Golamel, if you're running pure, go for 2. If you're running with another variant, go for 1. For the Shaurus, definitely just 0 to 1, depends on the build. Or if you're running pure, just go with a 0 to 1 copy. It's up to you if you want to use this anyway. That is basically your core cards for the DRACOTAIL archetype. With this, let's move on to the tech cards. Alright, so here we are with the tech cards, guys, and there's not much that you can actually access with this. So DRACOTAIL have different levels, like I said earlier, and different attributes. So there are quite, it's pretty hard to actually access them from the deck to their hand, and for some good reason, because they are pretty powerful in its own archetype. So what we have here are some that can actually benefit you. First and foremost, we have the Bestial monsters, specifically Magnemite. Magnemite is definitely just accessing 1 dragon monster from your deck to your hand at the end phase. And then you have the Cartesia. Cartesia works too well with branded anyway. And then we have a King of the Swamp. Now this is primarily one of the go-to cards nowadays with regards to fusion summoning, especially with the DRACOTAIL, since they can fusion summon during your opponent's turn. They can even summon Dragoons with this. So this is in replacement with a Dark Magician material for Dragoons, and this works too well with the archetype. For the extra deck, it's just your normal cards for the DRACOTAIL monsters anyway. So we have the Mysterian, the Dragon Crown, really good card effect as well. But I do think that this is just 0 to 1 depending on the build though. On the pure version, people are running this on 1 copy. In some variants, just nothing at all. Then lastly, we have the copy of Secretarian. When this card is fusion summoned, your opponent cannot activate the effects of spell summon dragon or spellcaster monster they control. Now this actually works too well if you're running a mirror match. Really good card to actually run if you're going up against a mirror match. You can target 1 dragon and spellcaster monster in your graveyard, spell summon 1, and if you do, the other one, place it at the bottom of the deck. So it is also a monster born that works too well with DRACOTAILs. Really good card effect. And it's just 1 dragon and 1 spellcaster for its material, which is primarily spellcasters and dragon monsters are the DRACOTAIL bread and butter. And then the Philia Regis. During the main phase, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, and if you banish a card on the field, return 1 dragon monster you control to the hand. And then lastly, your Hieratic Seal, which of course bounces 1 card on the field and spell summon 1 dragon on the field. So that is basically it for the tech card. If I missed anything here or if I forgot anything, just tell me in the comment section below. That would be much helpful for me and the other people watching this video. That's the tech cards. Let's move on to the variants. Alright, so for the variants, we have here the pure version first. The DRACOTAIL runs so well with hand traps because they can use them as fodders for their materials. So they just need 1 DRACOTAIL monster as a material, plus another monster on hand. So we pump everything up with monsters that you can actually use for the archetype. And this is what we can get. So you can use majority of them on hand, even with a copy of Valor, Malcharmi Fualos. You can just retrieve that back with a copy of Artelion if ever you want to. Now, since this is a pure version, running Super Polys are another good way to capitalize on the DRACOTAILs as well. So there are a lot of good cards, Dragoon as well. So like I said, Dark Magician plus 1 Dragon effect monster that you can actually use for a summon. Targets for Super Poly. You have a copy of Secretarian. So that is the pure version. Let's move on to another variant. So with regards to the variant, I'm going to talk about first the most notable or useful ones for the DRACOTAIL. First and foremost, we have here the branded. So far, 40 cards for the branded and DRACOTAIL are somewhat of... It was reliable, to be honest. Plus, branded fusion is in 2 copies. So typically, we have 5 branded fusions if you consider as well Raho DRACOTAIL. And like I said a while ago, this is the only light monster that you can use for the branded fusion, which it's basically setting 1 DRACOTAIL card from your deck to the field, and then you can access your other cards with just this card alone. If you're questioning why I'm running this, once the new DRACOTAIL cards hit Master Duel, everyone's gonna run dragons on the field. So basically, having this and a copy of Fallen of Albas, just set this card in the field, and then contact fuse everything else with the effect of Alba Atlantis. So that is branded. Let's move on to another good variant for this. So for the other good variant, we have here Magistus DRACOTAIL. Now the reason why I am running this though, because you can just have one Spenta, and then Spenta can gain you access to a copy of Lucius on the field. Now the reason for this is because of this monster right here. So if this fusion summon card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon one level 4 spellcaster from your deck. Then you can equip this card as a equip spell, yada yada yada. This one here is the key thing for the Magistus archetype, and that goes into the line for your DRACOTAIL as well. Plus, you can summon this card on the field and attach one fusion summon on it as a material if you're going up against mirror matches with DRACOTAIL cards or DRACOTAIL decks as well. So this actually stops those monster types from activating their effects. I think that's basically it. That is the Magistus, simple as it is. You're running mostly hand traps, like I said earlier, because this is DRACOTAIL. Let's move on to another variant. Next one, we have here Dragon Maid DRACOTAIL, or DRACOTAIL Dragon Maid. So it's similar to the pure version though, but with Dragon Maids. I'm not too sure about the number of copies for the Chamber Dragon Maid and the Parlor though. I might think to use them quite differently. I might need to try this one on a ranked game once this card hit. Only one of as well for the House and the Shio, and one copy of Lady's Dragon Maid. That's it basically, and let's move on to the last variant. Okay, so last variant, we have here Tier Element DRACOTAIL. Now, the reason why we are not even running a copy of Rhino Heart here, I think prioritizing a copy of Lucius is way better. Plus, you are running, of course, a copy of King of the Swamp that you can actually access Kaleido Heart with. And also, with regards to Crime and a copy of Solic, it is quite questionable because we're also running a copy of Flame and Horn, so you will tend to draw one of them in some cases, and it is quite of a garnet in some way. So yeah, we might need to test this one out thoroughly before we go into the proper build. And with that is all our variants for the DRACOTAIL. Let's move on to the combos. Okay, so for combos, we have here first Lucius plus one monster card on hand that you can use as a fodder. Now, please disregard the other Nibiru or the second copy of Nibiru here. I do not know why there's a third one here, or a third card here. But anyways, we can use that one as a material either way. So go for Lucius first, getting a copy of Phimina, and then Phimina going into Fusion Summon. Once Fusion Summoned, into a copy of Vertelion, you can gain access to the cards that you sent to the graveyard earlier. That is the Phimina and the Nibiru that we got. Now the reason for this is because we are gonna get a copy of the branded fusion for the DRACOTAIL. So the Rahu is gonna be set on the field. We can use the Rahu and the Phimina on hand, sending a copy of Urgula to the graveyard, and Urgula will just add back the Phimina to our hand afterwards. So Gulamel is gonna be on the field with the effect of Urgula, getting one spell and trap card in the grave. There you go. And with the effect of Phimina as well, getting the secondary or the second trap card. And Urgula spins back, adding a copy of Phimina for an interruption during your opponent's turn. That is your first combo with the Lucius. Let's move on to the second combo. Okay, so for the second combo, we have here with the Rahu. Rahu plus one monster on hand. So let's go. So first we go for Rahu, pitch in the Phimina. Go for Athalion, and like I said earlier, just one monster in hand, not more than that, but you can choose to if you want to gain access to other cards in the graveyard. So Phimina, gain access to the copy of Keto because we haven't normal summon, by the way, and Phimina will be added back to the hand. So Lucius, add to the hand, Spirit normal summon, activate, get a copy of Urgula, and then we use the effect of Phimina here, discard for a fusion summon. And going for a copy of Gulamel, and these two are sent to the graveyard. You can use the effect Lucius, and Urgala. Getting the 2 trap cards that you need. So same end board, but different, well, 1 card starter. So there you go. Spin back the Urgala, getting the Femina back to hand. So same thing, interruption again for your opponent's turn. So that's our second combo. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so for your next one, it is not, this is a different end board here, but it is with Mululu here. So first off, we have Mululu. You can normal summon it, use its effect, fusion summon, going into a copy of Arthalion here, use its effect, getting a copy of Mululu, and using the Mululu's effect to gain access to 1 DRACOTAIL card, which is the Rahu, and it gains more advantage from there on end. So Rahu sends a copy of Urgala into a copy of Gulamel, then use the effect of Urgala here, getting a copy of 1 trap card. That is our third replay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is with a branded combo, guys. Now, I'm going to showcase you guys the branded and with the Magistus. First, we go for branded fusion. Dump a copy of the Frixel and the Fallen of Albaz, going for a copy of Albion. And then once the Frixel hits the graveyard, you access 1 card. So gain access to the Keto since we have a normal summon. Getting a copy of Lucius. Now, this is basically what we did a while ago. So Lucius normal summon. Getting a copy of Femina. Use the effect of Femina here. Fusion summon the 2 monsters, because we can have Albion in the grave as well for a branded card. Spell summon a copy of Secretarian Dragon. And since Lucius is in the graveyard, we gain access to a copy of Rahu. There you go. And then add 1 back on the field, and then add that card to your hand. So works so well, Femina, with the effect of Rahu, sent to the graveyard with Urgala, going for a copy of Gulamel, and then these 2 cards I use as a material, gain the trap cards that you need. Plus, of course, we have the Frixel in the field as well. Really nice. So that is, oh yeah, spin back the Urgala, getting a copy of Femina for interruption of your opponent's turn. And of course, that Albion that we got earlier, gaining branded fusion, or we set the branded retribution to the field as well. Really good card. So that is your build, or that is your field. Let's move on to the next one, or the last one, I mean. Okay, so for the Magistus, it is quite simple. It's just 1 Spenta plus 1 monster on hand for your DRACOTAIL line. So go for Spenta, you discard, adding a copy of Zoroa normal summon, attaching 1 from the extra deck. I would advise going for the ones that you don't need. But once that goes to the field, or that attaches to Zoroa, you spell summon 1 Spenta from the graveyard, go into a single summon for the Conflagrant Calamity, attaching 1 Artemis, adding 1 Crowley spell summon to the field. Once added, use the effect of Crowley to spell summon, going into a copy of Invoke Magistus. Now the reason for this, you can pop that with the effect of Zoroa, the Calamity, and once it's popped, we gain access to the Lucius. Lucius will be spell summoned to the field. Add a copy of Femina, discard, fusion summon, and that's your line right there. So there you go. Artharian next. Artharian next. Then adding back the cards, and then Lucius will set a copy of Rahu here. Now take note, you already sent Spenta to the graveyard a while ago, so you can attach a material from the extra deck to a copy of Zoroa here in the field, which is pretty good. So with this, Urgala set the trap card, and then Spenta attach 1 from the extra deck, or from the graveyard, either way, because you know, you have another like Magistus card that you have, or that you can use. But anyways, those are the combos, that is the tech cards, and that is the variants that you might need for the new DRACOTAIL deck. Please tell me in the comment section below if I missed anything. If so, That is it for today, guys. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. We'll be tackling Archmage and, of course, the new Temple of the Kings deck for the Odeon deck later along, if we have those cards. Or we can just make this in MD Pro. But anyways, that's it for today. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.